Public. I shall now deliver a statement in my national capacity. We wish to thank the Special Representative of the Secretary General of the United Nations and the head of UNODC, UNAMA, Mr. Yamamoto, and the head of the UNODC, Mr. Fedotov, as well as the chair of the Security Council Sanctions Committee established pursuant to Resolution 1988 on the Taliban, Mr. Jani, for their in-depth analysis vis-à-vis the current state of affairs in Afghanistan. We attribute an important role to UNAMA in the coordination of international assistance to Afghanistan. A source of concern is related to the security situation in the country. Despite the efforts by the Afghan National Security Forces, the country continues to be plagued by brutal terrorist attacks. The countless victims of such heinous attacks include civilians, above all women and children, as well as military and police personnel. We pay tribute to their valiance and bow before their memory. The situation is compounded by the Islamic State in Afghanistan. The fighters retain an influence in the country. They are filling their ranks inter alia via foreign terrorist fighters who have gained battlefield experience in both Syria and Iraq, as well as through the creation of so-called sleeper cells. As was rightly noted today by Mr. Fedotov, the terrorist threat is inextricably tied to the narcotics problem. Narco dollars provide significant financial support for terrorism. We believe it is exceedingly important to continue and to scale up international efforts to counter this scourge. Assistance here is always something that the Collective Security Organization stands ready to provide. The CSTO has vast experience in combating the narcotics threat through inter alia the canal operation. We intend to continue to engage with our Afghan friends to eradicate security threats, above all those spawned by ISIL and al-Qaeda, as well as to shore up the capacity of civilian, security, and anti-narcotics structures. The Russian Federation consistently supports the Afghan people's aspiration to achieve a lasting peace in the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. We are genuinely keen to advance the national reconciliation process under the stewardship of the Afghan people themselves and to achieve subsequent stabilization in the country. We have repeatedly stressed the following, that a peaceful, stable, and prosperous Afghanistan is our common objective. The Russian Federation has done a great deal and continues to do a great deal to establish peace on Afghan soil. Examples of our efforts include intra-Afghan contacts on the Russian platform during the Moscow format of consultations, the meeting held on 9 November 2018, as well as during the commemorations of the 100th anniversary of the Russo-Afghan diplomatic relations on 28 to 29 May. These measures are rooted in an understanding that national reconciliation hinges on inclusive dialogue with all socio-political forces of Afghanistan on board. In Moscow on 5 to 6 February, intra-Afghan dialogue was launched. For the first time, this brought together at one table eminent politicians, women in the Taliban, and this reflected the fact that broad-ranging discussion is indeed key to achievement of peace in Afghanistan. We stand ready to continue to do everything possible to advance this. Another channel for successful engagement on Afghanistan is the trilateral consultations format at the level of special representatives of the Russian Federation, the United States, and China, with the inclusion of Pakistan during the meeting of the Troika in Beijing on 11 July. We note the growing understanding worldwide of the regional context and its importance for Afghan settlement and the need to harness the potential of tried and tested bodies to that end. Above all, the SCO and its updated SCO Afghanistan Contact Group, as well as the Collective Security Treaty Organization, the CSTO. National reconciliation should be the fruit of all-encompassing intra-Afghan dialogue and a concerted approach to bring together the whole country and all Afghan people, barring none. However, after a protracted conflict, the path to peace in Afghanistan will be thorny, and it will require the pooling of the efforts on the part of all stakeholders. Furthermore, there will be a need for strategic patience so that the blueprint for a definitive settlement to fully become operational. We regret the suspension of talks between the United States and the Taliban movement, the positive outcome of which would have paved the way for progress of a peaceful process of national reconciliation as well as comprehensive Afghan settlement. We trust that the situation that has arisen will not lead to excessive delays in American Taliban dialogue, and we call for the parties to, as expeditiously as possible, sit down at the negotiating table. The Russian Federation confirms its commitment to helping to advance the peace process in Afghanistan. We stand ready to stand as a guarantor for an agreement between the United States and the Taliban alongside other key states in the region. Afghanistan is at the threshold of presidential elections scheduled to be held this September. We trust that the elections will occur in an atmosphere of calm and that will be a potent consolidating factor for the people of Afghanistan. I now resume my functions